Chapter 13 of Boruto TBV VORTEX just pushed my Jougan propaganda through the roof. And today, it's time to talk about it. But of course, before we get into the video, I want to kindly ask you guys, my lovely supporters, my brothers and sisters, if you could drop a quick like on the video, as it does not only help the video in the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps the channel extend to bigger audiences. So honestly, if you're feeling generous, help a brother out. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this one with y'all. So if y'all are ready, let's hop into the video. So first, I think I'll start with the Kishimoto interview many of y'all knew about, but many did not. So I'll just cover what happened in that interview right now. So Kishimoto took place in an interview in France. I'm pretty sure it was during the Konoha Experience 2024 event. And one of the questions that was asked revolved around the Jougan. His response was as followed: the Jougan is canon, and in the first chapter where the flash forward happens with Boruto using it, but the sclera will be changed to black in the manga. And this goes back to my original statement about the Jougan looking like the Byakugan in the manga. Basically, I talked about how mangakas sometimes change the appearance of certain transformations or concepts later on to make the design more iconic. It happens way more often than you think. It can also be a way to keep from spoiling certain events that will take place later in the series. Let's look at a quick example. You can see the Rinnegan was technically first introduced into the story at the end of part 1 of Naruto, but as you can see, it looks really different than the final design of the Rinnegan later shown in Shippuden. Even in the anime, it's a huge difference. It's practically night and day between the two. I don't know what Kishimoto was thinking when he made it like this, but it can be any one of those reasons. He could have just simply wanted to change the design of the Rinnegan before it became a major thing in the story to make it look more appealing. Or he could have had the final design in his mind, but decided not to detail it early on to keep from raising too much suspicion and spoil certain narratives. And it does make sense because the Rinnegan is heavily linked to the Sage of Six Paths. So us seeing that the leader of the Akatsuki possesses the Rinnegan that early could raise some turmoil and, start up some crazy discussions. And maybe Kishimoto just simply didn't want that. So the same thing most likely applies to the Jougan here. The anime came out a little later than the manga, so I guess by that time, Kishimoto probably wanted to change up the design of the Jougan. So that's why in the manga, it has a white sclera instead of black. Kishimoto didn't want to give us too much information on the Jougan because obviously there's still a list of mysterious things revolving around the eye that we don't know. So for now, he just left us on a note that it is indeed a special eye. Now this not only confirms that the Jougan is real, but it also tells me the videos I've been doing on the eye for the past year haven't been for nothing. Not trying to brag or anything, but I knew it was canon from the very start. We just have to wait till the right moment for it to finally be revealed. And based on the narratives that was exposed in chapter 13, I have an idea of when that will be, as well as the true power of the Jougan. So in the anime, the Jougan seemed to have a number of different abilities. One of these abilities included seeing into other dimensions, as well as the ability to see odd chakra, if that even is chakra anyway. At a second glance, it seems like a weird aura that reads malicious intent, judging because every time it happens, someone is about to crash out. And during the Urashiki arc, Boruto was able to see Urashiki's portal before it even manifested, which can probably be deduced to a strong sense of precognition. As you can see, the eye has many weird abilities as well as many abilities that have yet to be seen. And none of this you see here is actually canon to the manga. So if Kishimoto wanted to, he can rewrite the Jougan to be whatever he wants and have whatever ability he wants because canonically, it hasn't been revealed as of yet. So this brings me to my main point. I believe the Jougan's true power has yet to be revealed. In fact, I believe chapter 13 is going to be used as a method to introduce the Jougan later on. The whole conversation between KASHIN, KOJI, and Boruto was just to establish how timelines work in relation to the Boruto series, as well as just how harsh fate can be sometimes, which can also be related to the Boruto series as a whole, especially when compared to the Naruto series. The Naruto series taught us early on that you determine your destiny. It's not just set in stone from birth. Through hard work, anything you set your mind to can be achieved. While the Boruto series is a little unforgiving when it comes to that same logic. The Boruto series reminded us that sometimes fate is something that simply can't be avoided. You can try all you want, you can never give up, but some things are just meant to happen. Just like Boruto inheriting the karma and slowly turning into an Otsutsuki, as well as him losing his life and everything he holds dear right before his eyes. Let's look at some things that was said in this conversation. We can actually look right here where Koji states that in many futures, it shows Boruto being killed by Jiraiya. And then after that, Kawaki gets devoured, leading to the end of the planet. How many futures and different outcomes can Koji see? We simply don't know. We don't even know how many timelines he can see. But just guessing, it can be a lot, possibly in the hundreds or thousands. And out of how many futures he sees, there's more futures showing Boruto being killed than not. Koji is telling Boruto about these futures to possibly stop them from happening. But as time goes on, it proves to be more and more difficult to do so. They tried to stop the birth of the Shinju, but that didn't go as expected. Tried to stop the Shinju from expanding in numbers, but from the way chapter 13 ended, it's looking like that will happen too. Even securing the Thorn Soul, exactly what they needed to save Sasuke, is now a no-go. The only thing that really hasn't happened yet is Jiraiya killing Boruto. At first it seems kind of weird. Everything happened how it was supposed to except Boruto dying. Now why is that? Or is it not time for Jiraiya to defeat Boruto? It's weird, but as you can see from what Jiraiya told Boruto just before he set off, I think we may have some serious foreshadowing going on. I can't help but believe this is actually where Boruto was supposed to die. Right here in this panel. Everything aligns too well. Jiraiya just straight up told Boruto he's a lucky man, and goes on to call out divine intervention when referring to his extreme luck. Now many may just brush over what was said in this panel, but this is something that obviously shouldn't be ignored, because what Boruto is about to discover about himself is that he is very special. A very special kid indeed. And what I mean by that is this could very well mean the beginning of the Star of Hope narrative to fully jump into play. The Jougan being the Star of Hope. The divine intervention Jiraiya is speaking about is actually a power that's hidden away in Boruto. And when that power awakens, so will the Jougan, to represent that power being awakened. The Jougan's true power is the power to change fate. It fits perfectly within the narrative and the direction the story is going. I believe Boruto will be able to use this power to change his fate and dispel all darkness that clouds the light, just like Tonari said. The eye that's heavily linked to the one and only Shibai Otsutsuki. As well as having the power to see the future, he could also have the power to change the future depending on how he chooses. The perfect counter to KASHIN KOJI SHINJUTSU. And furthermore, let's look at something else that Tonari says to Boruto. Your eye is the star of hope against destruction that will eventually come to pass. The power of hope slumbers in Boruto. And that right there is the divine intervention that's keeping Jiraiya from killing Boruto. It's the star of hope. It's right there in front of your eyes. And from this chapter, you can see one of the Jougan's abilities will be to change any fate revolving around Boruto. Change to a fate that pushes darkness away. And that ultimately leads him to living through certain situations like this one right here. It's even more apparent that's the case because of the end of Boruto TBV VORTEX. Yup, you guessed it. The infamous fight between Boruto and Kawaki. What seems to be the final battle of the show. It's scary to think about, but we're getting closer to this scene right here. And things are starting to make sense too. Pay close attention to what Boruto says in this scene. He tells Kawaki, was this the only possible outcome? As Kawaki agrees with him. Now, only possible outcome could mean this future was foresaw from Koji. But of course, Boruto probably tried to desperately avoid it. This outcome could be born from Boruto creating his own timeline by overcoming every other bad future with the power of his Jougan. But at the end, it still ends up being the same thing as foresaw. Destruction. The destruction they were trying to avoid all this time. This is why you can probably see Boruto's a little frustrated but eventually gains his resolve back to face Kawaki once more. But this time, with his Jougan activated to change the direction of his fate once more to save the Shinobi era. If you think about it, this ending only happens because the timeline getting altered over and over again. And this may lead to the dead end of fate that occurs later on in the story. This ending here is the dead end. That's why Boruto says, was this the only possible outcome? Because it is. This is where his fate ends. He either fights through it or gets consumed by it. But there's no changing his fate from this. No matter what path he takes, they most likely all end in the same place. Honestly, I need to know, who else can't wait until Boruto reveals his Jougan, especially now after reading chapter 13. I might go as far as to say we may get more information about the Jougan after this arc involving the SHINJU. I always wanted an arc that dives deep into the gods and divinity of the Boruto series, completely covering who Shibai is, his secrets, and how he is in relation to Boruto if they are heavily connected to each other. So an arc that goes over all of this so Boruto can learn more about himself and Shinjutsu as a whole is an absolute must. And regarding where the story is at this point and what went on in chapter 13, I believe this could be a prime opportunity to do so. That's why I believe we'll see a Star of Hope arc soon to really kick things off in this series. It doesn't have to be called the Star of Hope arc. I'm only looking for the concept, learning more about the gods of the Naruto series and their secrets. Let me know if you agree in the comment section. Do we need an entire arc that dives deep into the god lore of the Boruto series? An entire arc where we learn everything there is to know about the karma, all the OTSUTSUKI secrets, and the divine tree? And if you agree, tell me why in the comment section below. But anyway, as always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Just wanted to get my thoughts out on this Jougan mess because I know at first glance it's a lot to take in. But just know the Jougan is coming very soon. Make sure y'all leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next video, I'll see y'all boys and girls later. I'm out. Peace.